So we just received some updated information regarding the Lakers and what they're looking for in the trade market. And I gotta say, I'm a little concerned. Let's talk about it. Of course, before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor and drop a like on the video, and of course, consider subscribing if you're interested in news, updates, and highlights and other sports content. Okay, so Jovan Buha, as you guys know, is a Lakers insider, and he works for The Athletic. And he recently posted an article kind of giving some insight and detailed information as to what the Lakers are looking for in the trade market. As you can imagine, some of this information is stuff that you may have already heard, just from rumors flying around the internet and other sources. But some of the information that was detailed in this article came as a little bit of a surprise to me, and again, has me a little concerned. I'm not going to go through the entire article, but I will pick out some specific paragraphs and information that I think is just important that I think you should know. So let's take a look at it. So as you can see here, the Lakers kind of go into a little bit more detail regarding the archetype, if you will, of the kind of players that they're looking for in the trade market. It says here, similar to last season, the Lakers believe they have three positional needs at the trade deadline: a tough, physical, defensive-minded center, a big 3-and-D wing who complements Davis and James as a starter/closer, and a big, quick, athletic guard with point-of-attack defensive capabilities. It goes on to say, similar to last season, it's going to be difficult to address all three needs with one move and without giving up both their 2029 and 2031 first-round picks. None of this comes as a surprise to me. And if you're a Lakers fan or someone with any type of reasonably high basketball IQ, it should not come as a surprise to you either. The Lakers have desperately needed a center for years now. But I think where a lot of people get torn is a starting center versus just a center that they have coming off the bench to pull in and out of rotations alongside AD. I think that's the key difference when it comes to a center. I don't necessarily think that a center needs to start alongside Anthony Davis, especially if you have LeBron James. LeBron James starting at the three is a bit unrealistic at this point of his career, but a strong, physical, defensive-minded, ideally defensive-minded center to play alongside AD in different rotations is one thing, but he can absolutely come off the bench and it would be optimal for the Lakers. And then you hear about the athletic wings and, the kind of big, sizable, athletic, and then you hear about the deep point-of-attack defensive guard. That the people that I think of are Dorian Finney-Smith and Colin Sexton. Those are the two names that come to mind. Just Colin Sexton, he's a little on the smaller side, kind of that 1 to 2 position, but he is pretty athletic. What's funny enough, though, is that he's actually not very good defensively. He is athletic. He's pretty quick. So maybe it's something that under JJ's system he can channel into. But if you look at the metrics, he's actually not that great of a defender. Dorian Finney-Smith, he is your pretty much, prototypical 3-and-D guy. Not a very high scorer, but he's a dog. He does a dirty work. He can take your defensive assignment. He does a pretty good job. And he's actually shooting a career high from 3 this season. So those are the names that kind of come to mind based on those specific archetypes. The article then continues to detail some specific names that have been tied to the Lakers. It kind of breaks it down a little bit. It says here, other names that have come up in talks with team and league personnel over the past few weeks include Utah's Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton, Toronto's Bruce Brown Jr., Portland's Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams III, and Washington's Kyle Kuzma. It goes on to say, the Lakers are not anticipated to be heavily in the mix for Miami's Jimmy Butler, New Orleans' Brandon Ingram, or Chicago's Zach LaVine. So if you're subscribed to the channel and you keep up with my content, you understand how big of a fan I am of making a move for Zach LaVine and Walker Kessler. I just think those two pieces would fit perfectly with the Lakers, not only to help us win now, but to set us up in the future as well. I mean, if you think about it, if we were able to acquire those two pieces, one, we have a young center in Walker Kessler, which we need. He's a true 7-footer. He's skilled defensively for sure, and he's improving offensively. And he's only 23 years old. Then you bring in Zach LaVine, who's 29. So he's not no spring chicken, but he's nowhere near old. He's still in his prime years. He's super athletic. He's an elite scorer, an elite shooter. And I think under this system, especially with a team that he's able to compete for a championship with, he will buy in more on the defensive end. I think he's an average to above average defender anyway. But in this system, he can elevate that for sure. The funny thing is, though, it was recently reported that the Utah Jazz were taking Walker Kessler off the trade market. But then again, this is Danny Ainge we're talking about. He usually tries to play all these tricks and mind games or whatever. He's trying to get over on people, I suppose. So, like I said, these are just rumors. But I do think if the right package or assets come along, they would be willing to trade Walker Kessler. But I also think they understand the value that he brings to the young core in Utah, and they want to keep him, but they'll only give him up for the right package, so to speak. I'm not 100% bought in on Colin Sexton. I think he is athletic. He's certainly more athletic than Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. He's not a great defender, but kind of similar to Zach LaVine. If he's a part of a potential championship contender, he can kind of buy in more on the defensive end. But to be honest, I think he would be just a complimentary, addition along with Walker Kessler. If it's like, okay, great, cool. If that's how we have to get Walker Kessler, I guess we'll make it happen. But I don't think he elevates us that much more, than a Zach LaVine would, so to speak. Zach LaVine would be the perfect guard alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James, in my opinion. We also saw the names Robert Williams III, which I actually like, but he just can't stay healthy. I mean, you talk about Zach LaVine's health problems. Robert Williams is tenfold. That guy can't stay healthy for any sort of extended period of time. But when he is healthy, he's actually really good. I do like that. But I think the health problems are just a little bit too much right now. We'll see what happens with that. We also heard Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler. I'm not really bought into those guys either. I don't think they'll be as good of a fit. So if the Lakers end up passing up on those guys like it's been reported, I'm okay with that. But the fact that the Lakers are allegedly not really interested in pursuing Zach LaVine, that's not what I'm most concerned about. What I'm more concerned about is this. It says here, as The Athletic has previously reported, a Lakers move is more likely later in January or early February leading into the deadline, allowing Los Angeles more time to evaluate the roster and see if injured players like Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood can plug some of the holes within the rotation. But it appears that if the Lakers make a move on the sooner end, trading for Valanciunas, Cam Johnson, or Finney-Smith would be the more realistic exceptions. Wow. Talk about not learning from your past mistakes. Listen, I'm not concerned about Jonas Valanciunas or Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith. I think those moves are ideal in certain ways. Jonas Valanciunas is probably the most realistic option. I mean, his name has just been tied to the Lakers, aggressively starting from the last offseason, this past summer, when LeBron James, he kind of mentioned that he would take a pay cut for a list of players, and Jonas Valanciunas was on that list. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Lakers trade for him relatively soon. Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, I don't think that's realistically going to happen, but if it does, I think those two would be great additions. I mean, hell, literally, Austin Reeves, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's a hell of a starting five. I'm not going to lie. As big of a fan I am of Zach LaVine, if we get those two players inserted in the starting lineup, depending on what we have to give up, I think that could be pretty aggressive. That would be dope. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that the Lakers are holding off on trade targets to see if Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood would be healthy. It's like, yo, what are we talking about? How are you not learning from your past mistakes? Listen, I'm a huge fan of both of these guys, more particularly Jared Vanderbilt. I think Christian Wood would be very helpful, healthy. I advocated for him last year, but Jared Vanderbilt is just an absolute game changer. When he's healthy, nobody can really do what he does. He is so disruptive on the defensive end. He brings a ton of energy. He's an excellent rebounder. And he's, over the summer, we saw him improving on his offensive game, particularly that corner three, which I think is essential. But listen, we have to make these moves as if we're not getting these guys back anytime soon. I think that is the smartest way to go about it. If you're waiting to see when they come back healthy, there's really no telling when that is. And by that time, when these prices are dropping, other teams are trying to be aggressive as well. What happens when these moves are no longer on the table? That's my biggest concern with this recent update. It's like, man, the Lakers front office, they're shooting themselves in the foot kind of. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? Do you guys agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching as always. And I don't know. I'll catch you on the next video. We'll see how it goes with the Lakers, man. Peace.